The Democratic Party is in desperate need of a fighter. They're in desperate need of fresh blood, with fresh, ambitious visions for change. Right now, though, the party, in many people's view, is still stuck with establishment figures who've spent decades in Washington. People like Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. Lawmakers with a long track record, but who are from a very different time and have perhaps been part of the political system so long that they're just unable to see its fundamental flaws. Flaws that Democratic Party voters are increasingly frustrated with. The question then is, how do you get new voices and a bolder vision into the party? Something or someone to fire it up. Well, maybe, just maybe, a congressional race in New York might provide the answer. This year, New York City's 10th district was redrawn, stretching from Lower Manhattan through much of Brooklyn, and now over a dozen Democrats, coming from all sorts of backgrounds, have decided to throw their hat in the ring for that open seat. Of course, there are several seasoned candidates on the ballot, like former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. He's running as the experienced option, though this would be somewhat of a demotion for the former mayor. You also have Elizabeth Holtzman, a woman who became the youngest woman ever elected to Congress back in 1972. If she wins, she would be the oldest non-incumbent elected to the House. But there's also a whole slate of newer faces on offer for voters too, some who young progressives already know, like Congressman Mondaire Jones, who currently represents New York's 17th district, which was merged with another in this year's maps, so he's now seeking election in the 10th. There are also high-profile candidates like Daniel Goldman, an heir to the Levi Strauss fortune, but better known as the former federal prosecutor who served as the chief investigator for House Democrats in the first impeachment of President Donald Trump. And then there are candidates like Yuh-Line Niou. She already has a seat in the New York State Assembly. Her current state district sits inside the newly redrawn congressional district. Niou has political experience, but unlike some of the candidates she's up against, has almost no broader name recognition. That hasn't stopped her. She's banking on the fact that she's the Asian American local leader vying for a district where Asians make up 20% of the vote, and she's leveraging both a proudly progressive message, especially on housing, and a grassroots campaign style.
Oh, I need help. Oh, Elaine's office is helping people.
I've seen you fighting for tenants at the state level for years, so I'm sure you'll do it in Congress.
I represented the communities of New York 10 for 6 years as an assembly member. I fought corporate power and won, even when it meant challenging other Democrats. It's time to take our fights to Congress.
That was a clip from her already very buzzy campaign ad. And already the powerful Working Families Party endorsed her over her more well-known rivals like de Blasio and Jones. Will that be enough to carry Niou through the crowded primary on August 23rd? It's anyone's guess. What's clear is that this isn't a contest so much over policy or ideology. It's one of the most progressive districts in the country, and the race is filled with progressive candidates or people who call themselves progressive, like Bill de Blasio. It's more a race about what kind of Democratic politician voters want to see represent them in Congress. Joining me now to talk about why she thinks she fits the bill is New York State Assembly member and candidate for Congress, Yuh-Line Niou. Thank you so much for joining me on the show. You told the New York Times last month, we're running against folks with 100% name recognition. So then what made you want to jump into this crowded race? You were set to run for a New York State Senate seat, I believe. Why switch, especially how crowded this is with big names?
Well, first off, thank you for having me. But I wanted to just say that, I've already represented part of this district in the state assembly for the past 6 years. 100% of my assembly district is actually inside of New York 10. And I want to continue to represent my neighbors, my community. And I think that's something that has been important to me. And I think that I've brought to the New York State legislature is to provide accessible, transparent, powerful representation in our government. And right now, as you know, and as you have been just stating in the other segments that you were just hosting, but our country is in crisis. We are seeing people killed every single day. People are losing their rights, people who are suffering. And so what we really, really need right now is political courage. We have a Democratic majority in the Senate and in the House, and yet we don't have the ability to change things until we have that political courage. I think that it's really about making sure that we are having a government that's not just like happening to us. And I always used to think that, right, that these laws just happen to us, until I realized when I started interning that there was no big secret to accessing government.
So one of the well-known names you're up against in this race is current congressional representative Mondaire Jones. He's been very outspoken on a number of progressive issues. He's outspoken on things like expanding the Supreme Court. He's also a young, progressive, gay person of color and an incumbent congressman. So for the sake of argument, why should progressive voters pick you over him?
Well, I think that, again, it takes political courage. It takes political courage to fight for your neighbors, and it takes political courage to not just care about staying in office, but to make sure that you're willing to, take the hard votes, take the hard route, and make sure that you're standing for everybody, right? And in this race, I'm betting on people. I've won in this district. 100% of my assembly district, as I said, is in it. And I know what it takes to win. I've won 3 times here, and I'm proud of the coalition that backs me in this race, from the Working Families Party endorsement to the hundreds of volunteers that we have right now.
I get that. I don't want to be a troublemaker, but I do want to ask the question again, which is, by definition, if they pick you, they're not picking him. I'm just wondering, why do you think you're a better candidate than someone like Mondaire Jones, who progressives quite like in New York?
Sure. I mean, I love the guy, too. I actually went and helped him on his race up in Rockland with the Sunrise Movement. And I think that the reason why, Sunrise, Working Families Party, want me is because I have been living these progressive values through my work and what I've championed. And it's really about, identity, it's about purpose, and everything I do, every policy that I approach is about racial justice, and about disabilities, and it's about making sure that we are focusing on our socioeconomic justice lens, our environmental justice lens. Too often, I think that we silo these issues and we try to tackle them in different buckets. But the truth is, everything's interconnected, and every issue is a disability issue. Every issue should be looked at with the question of, does this close the racial wealth gap? Does this help us to be more equitable and sustainable? And does this help us acknowledge and make sure we are acting on all of these things together? I mean, I think that's what it really means to be a true progressive.
So one of the big issues for progressives, for Americans across the political spectrum, is abortion rights. Last week, New York legislators approved a proposal to enshrine abortion rights in the state constitution. It's only the first of many hurdles that proposal will face, but it does lay the groundwork to eventually put a bill to voters. As someone who's worked in Albany and is vying for a position in D.C., what can state and local Democrats do to lead on reproductive rights? And has Joe Biden in D.C. been doing enough on this since the decision came out, in your view?
So, last month, right-wing Supreme Court justices sent out a loud and clear message to our entire country. Our bodily autonomy is no longer protected under the rule of law. Make no mistake, this decision will kill people, especially poor people, LGBTQ people, people of color, and our Supreme Court does not care. Right now, we just voted in our special session in Albany for the Equal Rights Amendment. And for our state, we have these protections now, but it makes it also so that we have to make sure that we have the funding to help everybody, and for all the people who might need to depend on our state for help. And if elected, I promise I will work to codify the abortion rights of Roe v. Wade, but the fight for reproductive freedom and the access does not stop there. Roe v. Wade never guaranteed accessible and equitable abortion care for all, and I will work to ensure that all people in the United States have access to affordable and equitable reproductive health care, regardless of where you live. And we have to do better than Roe now.
Last question. You're running as a progressive. How would you compare yourself to the existing congressional party in Washington? Are you like Congressional Progressive Caucus left, or are you more like the Squad left? Where would you put yourself?
I mean, I think that, we're all on a spectrum of political views, and I think that it's really probably, I'm very, very progressive. I think that, again, I am proud to be endorsed by the Working Families Party. I'm proud of my long history with the Working Families Party ever since I ran on the Working Families Party line back in 2016. And again, I continue to live those progressive values through my work. And I think that, we always have to be making sure that we are trying to push that needle further to make things more accessible and more just for everyone. And that is our true progressive values.
Is there a particular, 30 seconds left, is there a particular policy or position that you plan to take in Congress that you think will make you stand out?
I think some of the financial services, we right now have so many different, issues that are, really plaguing folks in our district. And one of the biggest things has been really trying to make sure that we have wealth building in our communities, and then making sure to stop predatory practices. I just was talking to folks about, the payday lending industry and some of the things that are still permeating through especially with, the buy now, pay later models, et cetera. Like, there's regulations that we need to look at, because right now, a lot of the fintech services, a lot of these things, some of them are really, really great, and some of them are really, really terrifying, and we have to make sure that we are helping people on the ground.